A warrior may retreat, but he does not flee. He may lie in ambush, but he does not hide. He may experience victory or defeat, but he does not cease to serve. But a servant with divided loyalties is no servant at all.
How you get so big into food of this kind?
Hello and welcome in. This is a spoiler-free review of Thrawn Treason, the third of the new canon Thrawn novels by Timothy Zahn. These books have been dealing with the character of Grand Admiral Thrawn as he appears in new Star Wars canon, written by Timothy Zahn. If you are not familiar with the series, you may be familiar with the Thrawn trilogy from Star Wars Legends, also written by Zahn. Zahn wrote in total 7 novels that were either about Thrawn or about things about Thrawn, and he came into new canon when the character was brought back into canon by Star Wars Rebels. So these are good books to read if you are fans of Legends materials and seeing that kind of thing brought back, but they're also really good if you like tie-ins to Star Wars Rebels. This book largely takes place during the 4th season, the final season of Star Wars Rebels. You may remember that at some point Thrawn has to slip away from defending his TIE Defender program and has to go and deal with something. This is the something before he comes back at the end of the Rebels finale. So it was kind of fun. This was a story in the middle of an already action-packed season of the show. The story itself pits Thrawn versus Director Krennic from Star Wars Rogue One. In fact, Thrawn spends a lot of time with the assistant to Director Krennic, but basically Krennic is trying to hoard more resources for Project Stardust, or the Death Star. Thrawn is trying to keep funding for his TIE Fighter program that we see in Star Wars Rebels. A deal is struck, a bargain is made, a bet, if you will, even, and Thrawn has 1 week to solve a problem or he loses all the funding for his project. It's a very simple premise. It seems kind of small scale, but it ends up having larger implications because this one small bargain ends up having connections to things we've seen in the first 2 Thrawn novels. So the character of Eli Vanto from the first Thrawn novel makes his grand and much awaited return. We deal a lot with the Grisks, who we hear about and we see in Thrawn alliances, and it basically takes the threads from the past 2 books and combines them into this. The idea of treason is because of this ever ongoing idea with Thrawn, where he has joined the Empire to ultimately help his people, the Chiss people, who are under threat from this other alien race known as the Grisks. He's hoping to convince the Empire to fight the Grisks because then both the Empire and the Chiss would be safe from them. So there's always this question of, does Thrawn have more allegiance to the Empire he now serves, or does he have more allegiance to his own people? And it's a big deal because Palpatine favors him greatly. Thrawn is a brilliant strategist, to understate it. He doesn't want to lose Thrawn, but he's also never sure if Thrawn is truly on his side. And it brings about a lot of interesting tension. So overall, I liked the book. I liked the 3rd book more than the past 2. It is my favorite out of the 3. In fairness, these books are not necessarily for everyone. I know a lot of people who love them. I know a lot of people who are lukewarm on them. In order to enjoy these books, and this one is no exception, you have to love the character of Thrawn. And when I say love the character of Thrawn, you have to want to root for him. So if you read the first 2 and you struggled a lot because you didn't like that Thrawn was always the smartest guy in the room, you're not necessarily going to like this one because it's more of Thrawn being the smartest guy in the room. I love for Thrawn being the smartest guy in the room. I live for Thrawn being the smartest guy in the room. I found myself laughing out loud several points in this book. I found myself very much cheering for Thrawn, and then there's some elements that happen at the end of the book that happened really the way I was hoping they would go. I liked the first novel, thought it was fine. I had some issues with the second novel, ultimately liked it a lot, but with some qualifications. This novel I had no real issues with. So this kind of took what I liked about the first 2 books and let go of the stuff I didn't like in the past 2. But again, I also am really happy with Thrawn just winning the day, and I don't like to question it. I just have fun. I'm a Thrawn fan. I like seeing Thrawn, being Thrawn. If that bothers you, it's still going to bother you in this book. If you love it, you're going to love this book even more. That said, the side characters really add a lot. Thrawn has his new protege-esque character in the way Eli was his in the first book. He now has his Commodore Faro. She's a brilliant character. Thrawn is constantly butting heads with another Chiss admiral She's a wonderful character. Krennic's assistant, Ronan, is an amazing character. He's hilarious. He's annoying, but he's supposed to be annoying. Like, when you read him, you're supposed to not like him. And I loved not liking him through the whole story, but I'm also a big Krennic fan. So I was getting a big kick out of that as well. But while remaining spoiler-free, I don't know that I could really say a whole lot else. I probably wouldn't put the book in my top 5, but that speaks more to the quality of Star Wars novels and what is in my top 5 more than to the quality of this book. It is certainly not in my bottom 5. It was a book I thoroughly enjoyed, but again, if you're thinking about whether or not you should read this third one, you should think about how much you enjoyed the first two. If you're thinking about reading the third one and you haven't read the first two, you probably could. I think you could probably follow it if you're willing to just kind of go along with some stuff that they talk about having happened in the past. But you're going to get a lot more emotional impact out of it if you have read the other two. And the other two are at least worth a shot, especially if you are a fan of Star Wars Rebels. But if you much prefer seeing Thrawn as the dastardly opponent to Ezra Bridger and Hera Syndulla, this may not be the book for you, because this is not a book about the evil Thrawn that's hunting down the Ghost crew. This is a book about the brilliant Thrawn who's out there trying to save the day for the Empire. But I want to hear from you guys. Did you read the book? Have you read the other books? Are you planning on reading this one? What did you think? Let me know in the comments below, or follow us on any of these social media platforms, or join our Discord. I'd love to talk to you guys about this there. And until next time, keep it real and fly casual.
Cooking can be fun.